It's finally time, and the stage is set for one big old PSA return. What's going on, guys? Joe R. Vintage Pokemon back with a monster PSA return. I do these on average about once a year, and we did it through Trading Card World. They were our third-party grading service. They sent our cards off to PSA on our behalf, and they do a really bang-up job for us. Fair pricing. They take care of all of the information for us, the inputting of the cards into the database, and all that good stuff, and they do a really nice job shipping everything back as well. As a matter of fact, my cards actually came back in two separate orders, if you will, and they, instead of charging me twice over, they actually said, hey, we'll put it all together because it was all sent to us in one shipment, so we'll send it back to you in one shipment. So, and the shipping was really reasonably priced, too, for how big the box actually was. You guys saw it, and that was inside of another box on top of that, really well packaged, so I'm very, very pleased with Trading Card World. And I always like using these kinds of services anyway because it's less hassle for me. The price of grading is not that different. It's like the same price, maybe an extra buck, just for the peace of mind that somebody's going to take care of everything for you. So I really enjoy them. And they do BGS as well. As a matter of fact, we've done BGS submissions with them before. So thank you again, Trading Card World, for taking care of that for us. Not to mention, if something is wrong with your card, maybe it's mislabeled or it's cracked or whatever, they will fix that problem for you free of charge. They will take care of it, contact PSA, and get it fixed and get it done right. So I've had that happen before, and they always do a great job making those corrections if PSA screws something up. So love that. It's also happened with BGS in the past too, and they fix it with them as well. So really great. But we've got nearly 40 cards, and let me just be one to remind you guys, 40 vintage cards. And, well, a couple moderns mixed in there. But if you like vintage Pokemon card content, this is the place to be. Make sure you like and subscribe for more Pokemon card content action. And we've got a lot of cards to get at today. All these cards were in really good condition, I believe. So we're looking at somewhere in the range of 7 to as high as 10s. I hope we don't have any 7s, and it's all 8 and 9s, or some 10s mixed in. You know, we'll have to see. First card up on our list. Hold your breath. We get a 7. Oh, jeez. That tells you what we're looking at so far. So we sent in a whole bunch of jungle, no symbol, hollow error cards. These were really, really clean, aside from maybe a little bit of scratching on the surface. So for this to get a 7, that is some really tough grading right there, because look at the backside of this thing. You know, and I do regret not sending these cards in sooner, because, I mean, look, that's flawless. There's nothing on the backside, and they're giving this a 7. Man, that's some harsh grading right there, I gotta say. I know that there might be a couple scratches on it, but, I mean, seriously, a couple years ago, that would have been an 8 to 9 all day long, I'm sure. So right off the bat, we start out with a near mid 7. Hopefully we can improve from there, because that's a really cool card nonetheless. Next up, we probably have a whole bunch of these jungle no symbol hollow errors. And again, the error is that the symbol for the jungle set is missing there. That's what we're looking at. Next up, we got the Electrode coming in at a 7 also. All right, so we're going to put some of these off to the side just like that. Very good. Okay, next up, we have Kangaskhan. Near mint 8 for Kangaskhan. All right, so we get the 8 on the Kangaskhan. That's pretty sick. Very good, very good. Why don't we get that up over there? We got our first edition jungle box there for us. And these cards, these are like pack fresh cards for the most part. So, I mean, that is some harsh grading. But again, that's what you get with these vintage cards sometimes, is that they're just really tough to grade these days. Next up, we have Mr. Mime pulling in a near mint 8. So Mr. Mime, really nice clean grade there for Mr. Mime, near mint 8. Okay, we'll put him off to the side. Kangaskhan is a bad boy, so we're going to keep him up there. You know, shimmer there for you. Little Kangaskhan magic. Okay, next up, we have Nidoqueen pulling the near mint 7 as well. So again, just really tough grades that we got going on here. I mean, you can see maybe a little bit of scratching there. You can see a little bit right there as lines. So, I mean, these were some old cards. I had these sitting back. I mean, if anything gets lower than a 7, it's going to be because there's a dent in it, I'm sure. But some really solid grades for such old cards. Okay, next up, we have The Pidgeot pulling the near mint 8. You know, if we're going to pull 8s on anything, I prefer it to be on the Pidgeot and the Kangaskhan, if I'm being honest, because that is a sick card also. Always was a little bit weird to me growing up that Pidgeot was in the Jungle set and Pidgeotto and Pidgey were in base set, but more power to you, Pokemon. You got them in there one way or another. Okay, next up we have the Pinsir pulling the 8. Ooh, that's a lot of sparkle there for you right there. Okay, nice job on the Pinsir coming at the near mint 8. Here we go. And I feel like the Jungle No Symbol Holo cards, they're significantly undervalued for what they are. I mean, they are a significant error in my mind. I mean, it's missing a whole piece of the card. That symbol is supposed to be there. And I always was surprised at just how easy you can still buy these today even. It's a very affordable set in my mind. Near mint 8 on Scyther. One of my favorite Pokemon is Scyther. And very playable card back in the day too, because he's got no retreat cost, requires no specific energies to use Slash. So a really awesome Pokemon card, both for playing and for collecting. And I just love the design of Scyther. Scyther's sick, you know? We're going to get him up there too. Get him off in the way. You guard him there for us there, Gengar. All right? You watch over him. Lord and Savior Gengar. All right, let's next up. We've got the Venomoth pulling in the near mint 8. So we're getting 8s on the majority of these so far, it seems. So that's pretty cool. That's really nice. Venomoth right there for us. So what was that? Was that 5 or 6 PSA 8s? That's pretty darn cool. Very nice. Okay, next, we might be getting out of the Jungle No Symbol Holo card soon. So we'll have to see. We've got Victory Bell pulling the 8. Yes, that's right. We can't forget about Victory Bell here. And we've also already previously graded Jolteon, Vaporeon. The Jolteon is the only one, and all of these cards were really, really clean. Jolteon's the only one that managed to pull the PSA 9, which if you're going to have one pull the PSA 9, I definitely am glad that it was the Jolteon. So I'm super pumped that we got the 9 for the Jolteon. Vaporeon came back in 8, and Flareon got the 7. But I'm really happy with these overall because we're talking some really old cards here, and they're all coming back more than near mint quality grades. So that's really awesome. Next up, we've got the Vileplume getting in the mint 9. All right. So we did get a mint 9 on the Jungle No Symbol Vileplume Pokemon card. And you know, we're going to have to just kick you out there. We had actually already previously graded a Kangaskhan too. So that was our second PSA 8 for Kangaskhan anyway. And we get Vileplume coming in there. And I mean, just look at how clean this is. I actually thought this might have had a shot for a 10. Granted, it is a little off-center. You could see right off the bat. And that's the thing is that PSA is they really have cracked down over the last couple of years in terms of what they will consider a 10 quality. Oof, that is pretty off-center there, top to bottom, left to right too. But hey, you know, the rest of the card must have been really near flawless. Something else with the Jungle cards that you do have to watch out for. And this is after base set had been printed into oblivion, right? The blades on the cutting machines for the cards was starting to get a little bit dull. And you know that because a lot of Jungle cards, including some of these, which might have contributed to why they've gotten the 8s instead of the 9s, a lot of these cards had some minor silvering on them. Doesn't really detract from the card itself. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of cards early on, I don't know if it's still the case today or not, that pulled PSA 10s because PSA did not really consider silvering to be so much as damage. I mean, it's kind of hard not to because it is a part of the card that's kind of showing through. Basically, you would see it on the edge here. It's very, very tough to pick up on camera, so I don't think I'm going to be able to. But I mean, you look at the quality of these cards that are pulling PSA 8s here, right? Is that a little bit of fuzz? Yeah, it's fuzz. Okay, just look at those corners. I mean, really clean. There's a little bit of white dot there and there. But I mean, other than that, the card looks really super duper clean. I mean, anybody would actually love to have this. As a matter of fact, these are probably really nice candidates for trying to cross-grade. Maybe you're a CGC collector or a BGS collector. These are the sorts of things where maybe you want to take this, crack it, try sending it to CGC instead because they're not going to be as harsh on the surface. That's why PSA tends to hold a slight premium over those other companies for the mint grade because they do such a nice job with the quality control on them. All right, so now I think we might be getting out of the jungle no symbol hollow error cards now. So let's take a look. See, next up we have the, oh no, we forgot about the Wigglytuff. Man, I was just trying to send this whole set in, and I know I had done some of them previously, which is why I thought maybe we were getting out of it. But man, I forgot about the Wigglytuff. Really tough card to grade. Just a lot of shimmer, shimmer, sparkle, sparkle there for you. And I'm sure that's partly why it got the grade that it did. Actually, look, this is actually a good candidate. Check that out right there. You can see it in the top left-hand corner. See that little bit of silvering right there? It doesn't really take away from the card itself. I mean, this card's really clean. Not a lot. You can see actually there's a little bit of scratching there on it, right? But the backside, like nearly flawless, right? So really, really clean card. But that little bit of silvering that you see in that top left corner there along the edge of the card, you can see it kind of going all the way down almost. That's going to take away from it possibly too. So hard to know. You don't know exactly what's going through PSA's mind when they grade some of these things. But I mean, I love Wigglytuff. Also another super playable card from the original TCG back in the day, because that move, Do the Wave, heavy damage, heavy damage. We're talking 1 energy plus 1 colorless, and if you fill the bench, a 60 damage card right there. I mean, that was big back in the day. So it was a big card in a lot of big decks. Next up, Aerodactyl Mint 9. Yeah, all right. And this is the pre-release, so it's not actually first edition. It says first edition, but it doesn't really mean anything for this particular card. It's the pre-release Aerodactyl. Tough card to grade in a 9 also, so I'm super happy to get that. That is super cool, super sick. And none of my cards, even though they have the potential of grading very, very high, what's the difference between this in 9 versus 10? I have no idea. I mean, it could very easily have been graded at 10, and I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. I mean, look at this thing. It is super clean, right? But I did not pay for any upcharges whatsoever. Now, that means either PSA ignored the value on these cards, or none of them actually hit that value marker. Hard to say. I've never been one to pay for upcharges up front. If they're going to catch something, I want them to be the ones to tell me that I owe a little bit more. That's just kind of my mentality. I don't think it affects the grading process in any way, shape, or form. It's not like they have a price chart up as they're grading your cards. So I'm not worried about that one way or another. So again, it's my personal advice. You take it or leave it, but I do not pay more based on what I think a card should grade. Okay, I very rarely ever do that. So next up, we have Aerodactyl as the last one.